Henk is one of those persons that you may, if you don't already know him, you may have seen him at a number of these events, always surrounded by people of action, people who are moving the needle forward. And I've often thought to myself, when I grow up, I want to be like you. Because of the tremendous background that you've had, starting in the technology gaming space, phenomenal career and success. Then with a personal event, learning about the tragedies of the coral and the impact of CO2 on all of that, which, as I understand it, was a huge impetus for you to set up the Blue Planet Foundation, a commitment by Hawaii to get to 100% renewables by 2045. And then not just that, but then actually bringing scores of island delegations over the years to Hawaii to see what's being done and how to do it. So, and I understand that the book, The Perfect Game, is on its way or out already. And, would really like to hear a little bit about some of these inspirations from you, Henk. And what is a perfect game for what the inspiration for the perfect game in Tetris, of course, but also the perfect game for solving this climate crisis. So please, over to you. And do let me know where I can get a jacket like that, because I think it's...
Next time, bring your white jacket, and I'll gladly throw some paint on your jacket like I've done to this one. How many of you have played Tetris? Everybody. Oh, okay. So, 2 years ago, a movie came out called Tetris on Apple TV Plus, and it's a movie about me going to the Soviet Union in 1989 to get the Game Boy rights to Tetris. That's the short story of the movie. The movie is about half true story and half Hollywood. I won't say which half. But when I was going through the script, I was just so annoyed that the real story wasn't there that I started writing the real story, and that has turned into a book. Somebody looked at it, and that was about they said, you know what, if you had 2/3 more of writing, then it would be a book. And so I wrote the before and after. So the book is about my game career. Now, The Perfect Game, you could say The Perfect Game is my first game that I made, which started my career. It was the #1 game in Japan in 1984. Started role-playing games in Japan. But it could also be Tetris, because it's the game I discovered and has been played by more people than any other game in history. And it's given me the ability to do what I do today. The event that he was talking about that changed my life was a near-death experience. I had 100% blockage of the widowmaker, which is the largest artery in your heart. 95% of the people who have that happen to them die. I was fortunate enough to survive. In the ambulance on the way to the hospital, I said, no, I'm not going. I still have stuff to do. And in the recovery room, I was reading a newspaper. I decided to find my missions in life. And in the back of the newspaper, it said, oh, by the way, we're going to kill all the coral in the world by the end of the century, caused by ocean acidification, caused by carbon dioxide, caused by us. And I said, no, we're not doing that. Mission #1 is to end the use of carbon-based fuel. We put Hawaii on track with the Blue Planet Foundation. Hawaii is the first state in the country to have a mandate of 100% renewable energy by 2045. It was a negotiation. We wanted 2040. The politicians were giving us 2050, and we settled for 2045. 2045, as my son pointed out, is the perfect date, because it's the 100th anniversary of the United Nations. What better date to fix climate change than 2045? And, at the end of the day, when I started in Hawaii, everybody said it's impossible. We can't do this. And they talked to the utility, talked to their engineers, and they said, we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to do renewable energy. It's intermittent, this and that. They had all kinds of reasons why they couldn't. After we passed the mandate, they actually thought about it for the first time, and they came back and they said, publicly announced that they could do it, and they could do it by 2040. Then we changed the business model of the utility, so they make more money by switching to renewables. They went from being our worst enemy to our best friend. And today, when you talk to the utility in Hawaii, they sound just like us. And it's all. We went in Hawaii from it's impossible to, of course, we are doing this. And that's the change that we need to see in the world. Everybody in the world needs to go from it's impossible to fix climate change to, of course, we're fixing climate change. And nothing happens without a deadline. If I said, build me that building, and you told me, well, it's going to be done someday, that's not how things get done. Things get done, we say it's going to be done by whatever the date is. If you're late, you pay me. If you're early, I give you a bonus, something like that. And climate change is just one of those things. We just need to make a decision by when we're going to do this. And I love talking to engineers in the room, they're all sitting there like, how are we going to do this? And I say, you guys got us into this. You guys have to get us out. I don't care how you do it, but you invented the internal combustion engine. You're the reason climate change is happening. Okay, go fix it. Invent something else if you have to. But it's your job to get us out.
No, thanks for that, Henk. And as you were speaking and telling about the impetus to go down this path and talking about corals, I just noticed Shelby Thomas in the back of the room there was doing some fantastic work on corals, by the way. So please, talk to her as well about some of the things that you're doing. But I want to come back to this challenge of the shift in mindset with the utilities. We've done a lot of work, in the past, when it's World Bank and other places, on renewables for island countries. And you get, people in the policy space and advocates really wanting to push things forward. And then you talk to the utilities, and it's like, well, we're doing a little pilot project over here, but not thinking really utility scale. What's been the sort of shift in mindset that you've been able to create in Hawaii, and how is that being translated to the delegations, the island delegations that you're bringing to Hawaii?
Well, once you give them a monetary incentive, it becomes fairly straightforward. So in Hawaii, we have refineries. We have 2 refineries, and as a result, the utility can use bunker oil. It's the leftover after you take out the jet fuel and you take out the gasoline and diesel. When we started, Hawaii was importing $5 billion a year of oil and $1 billion of coal. So 30% of the oil goes to jet fuel, 30% ground transportation, 40% or $2 billion went to electricity. And so the other islands, by the way, don't have refineries. They're importing diesel, which is a refined product, which is more expensive. Anyway, the utility in Hawaii pays 25 cents per kilowatt hour for oil, 25 cents per kilowatt hour. So add to that all the other costs, so we're paying 30 to 40 cents per kilowatt hour as a consumer. Then they put out RFPs for wind and solar, for renewable energy. Wind and solar come in Hawaii at 8 cents per kilowatt hour. If you add and it's because it's far away. Texas pays 2 cents or less. But Hawaii's 8 cents. And if you add batteries, it's up to 12 cents. That's still half the cost. It's half the cost and none of the risk. What does a wind spill or a solar spill look like? Where do islands get their money? They get their money from tourism. And where does the money go? It goes to buying diesel because it's all bought in dollars. The only place they can get dollars is from tourists. If we have an oil spill in Hawaii, goodbye to the tourist industry. So that's the risk. It's a risk that we all take. And the other risk that the governor, previous governor said, what happens if there is a conflict somewhere or something? And guess where the priority goes? The priority is no longer Hawaii. That tanker is going to go somewhere else, or it's not coming at all. And if we, at any given point, we have 26 days of fuel in Hawaii. After that, we go dark. So all we need is missing a couple of tankers. That's the risk, the security risk. So I really don't care why you want to switch to renewable energy, whether it's security, whether it's economics, or whether it's environmental. I just care that you do it. And you don't have to do it because I'm doing it because of the coral. That's where I started. When I realized that it's all of climate change, then it became a much bigger mission. But again, I don't preach climate change to people. I preach renewable energy. It's very simple. I don't care why you do it, as long as you do it.
And given the, I'm just mindful that we're just about at time.
Don't worry about the time. Don't worry about it. It's only Matt.
We've heard from folks in the room, talking about the advancement of technology. We're in the age of AI, and you come from that background. What hope is there for us, looking at some of these new technologies to speed up, scale up, do more, at a scale that's commensurate with the global challenge we face?
Well, everybody knows that things are getting worse. Okay, things are getting worse. But at the same time, technology is getting better. And I think that technology getting better is going to outpace things getting worse. And AI is going to help us. One way of looking at what's happened in history is that there are pockets of genius where somebody discovers something, invents something, creates something, and it's lost for whatever reason. It's because they didn't get the money, they didn't get the backing, they didn't have the ability to speak to other people, whatever it is. All this has been lost. But with AI, the potential is that nothing will be lost. Everything that we've ever created, the AI will know everything. And so it might even be able to judge which one is the one that's going to be the more investable one. And so I think this is going to rush things. This is going to make things move faster. And, again, to leaders, I say, don't ask your engineers, or don't ask people if they can do it. Tell them that they have to do it. Tell them. It's just like John Kennedy said, go to the moon. He didn't say how to go to the moon or ask the engineers. By the way, they asked all the engineers in NASA, can we do this? And every engineer that said, no, we can't, they're not part of the project. And the average age of the engineer on the Apollo project was 24. So if the older engineers say it's impossible, okay, switch to the newer engineers, whatever it is. But do it, just get it done. This is not something which is impossible or difficult. When we look back at this in 2050, we'll look back at 2045 and we'll say, yeah, you know what? It wasn't that hard. All we had to do is make up our mind. And that's what it is in Hawaii. We just made up our mind that we're going to do it. And now we're bringing islands. So the Blue Planet Alliance, my new organization, we bring island countries to Hawaii. When we bring an island country, we bring one person from the government, one person from the utility, one person from the regulatory agency, and one person from the community. So minimum of 4 people. They come to Hawaii, we keep them for a week. They get to meet everyone who was around from before and after the transition. So they understand that the mindset, how did the mindset change from we can't to of course we are? And it's really not that big of a deal. It's just a mindset. It's just a decision. I don't care who makes the decision. We all need to make the decision because we are the ones responsible.
So 2045, and for some people that might seem like a long time away, but if you think back 20 years ago to 2005, that's, like just the other day. So this is actually coming up quite fast. Getting to 100% for Hawaii, but we need to get, all of the islands to sort of lead to be exemplars, I think, and show how it can be done, given the relatively small size of the challenge.
The reason 2045 in Hawaii is significant is that no new fossil fuel infrastructure will be built from now, because it will not be amortized by 2045. So we tried earlier to pass a bill saying you can't build any more fossil fuel infrastructure. Oh, they went to war with us. You know, the utility went to war with. But this one was kind of like, yeah, we snuck it through. And then the end result is they're happy. And it's win-win-win. The people pay less for electricity. The utility makes more by selling electricity. And we're helping make a difference in climate change. It's win-win for everyone. There's no losers in this game. And that's the point that everybody needs to understand, is that when you make your transition to renewable energy on your island, there are no losers. Everybody is a winner. And the biggest winners are your children. You know, at the end of the day, it's our responsibility as adults to give our children as good of a world as was given to us by our parents. Remember when you were a child growing up in your island, how wonderful it was. Well, that's how wonderful it has to be for your children and your grandchildren.
Perfect note to end on. Put your hands together for Henk Rogers.